Have angels had a role in the organization of the world? We have seen in the previous video what is the principle of subsidiarity. As soon as God can delegate, He delegates. He does it because He is like that in His Trinity. The Father does not cease to put forward the Son continues to put forward the Father, and the Holy Spirit to put forward the Father and the Son. It's His nature. So, He applies it to His little creatures. As soon as He can delegate, He does so because He likes to bring up the one who has lowered himself before Him. As a result, we have seen that what only God can do, like create the world, He does. It is He who says it, and that is it. On the other hand, if it is possible that engineers created by Him, having a power over the matter, have to organize the material, then He will delegate them. And this faith in the existence of spirits in nature, which structures the world, is very old. It dates animists. The old religions, which resemble Noah's, believed that angels were everywhere. Afterwards, it became paganism. We ended up transforming it into all sorts of mythological characters, but the bottom of that is that God, the great Creator, the Supreme Spirit of the universe, delegates to His creatures, little gods, we could call that, a role on the earth. Well, Catholic theology admits exactly that. In his treatise on the hierarchy of angels, Saint Dionysius says it. The orders, charged with organizing the matter, are three: virtues, powers, and dominations. And everyone has a role as an engineer to prepare the world to receive one day the man and the woman whose guardian angels and archangels and princes, hierarchies closer to us, will take care concretely. So does that mean that, like the pagans, we must say that angels are everywhere? For example, if I let go of this remote control and it falls, it comes from a god, who will call himself Vulcan, for example. Of course not. In fact, the intervention of such angels is discernible and is only necessary when it is obligatory. But most of the time when we observe with modern science, then, the development of the universe, we see that things are done alone. For example, after the Big Bang and the organization of matter in the form of these first constants, in the first second and until the appearance of life on Earth, all we see is naturally explained by a phenomenon of degradation, extension of the universe. At one point, concentrated hydrogen clouds come on and it gives star galaxies. No need for intervention from any engineer. It's like a fire, the effects of the burning of the universe. So, we must be absolutely careful, not to see everywhere the intervention of these engineers of God. On the other hand, we must not be naive and believe that this material would be, at the beginning, lit, and that it would carry within it the capacity, for example, to give life, or even, in the first second, to give itself constants so adjusted to the 50th decimal that the slightest change has made the world. Absolutely not like that. No. When the mathematical order of matter at the beginning is there, we can see that there is something else. And the Bogdanov brothers show that one can infer with a philosopher like Spinoza, an engineer, of high level, mathematician who structures this matter. Similarly, when the first bacterium appears, from a world that does not want to give a bacterium at all, a non-living world that gives simple molecules, sterile pebbles, and that, forever. Well, do not be naive either when some say, but with a little time, putting sun, water, and mud, it will appear all alone. In fact, the probabilities that a structured DNA of up to 3,000 characters will appear exceeds the very capacity of reality. This is a chance, if you calculate it, 1 chance in 64 to the power 3000. Only for a page of 3000 characters that would form a DNA that would be formed of 3000 nitrogenous bases. Outside, the simplest of bacteria are millions of nitrogenous bases that form an extremely precise software that will not only structure its membrane but its breathing, its reproduction. And so, as a philosopher, but also as a Catholic theologian, we can quite admit that sometimes the intervention of engineers of nature is there, present. But beware! Not to see him all the time. Similarly in evolution, Darwin's mechanisms are obviously true. They explain, for example, the passage of a terrestrial mammal, a kind of dog, whales. We have all the intermediate fossils. Only this huge passage is only microevolution. The whole problem means progressive changes in shape indeed. The whole problem is when a radically new DNA emerges, encoding a radically new vital function. So the first time, for example, where the eye appeared. We are far from having explained this by Darwin's theories. We must have the humility to recognize it and therefore be able, as at the same time scientific, he uses his reason, but as a believing theologian, to say that it is not stupid that there can be organizing intelligences. Another problem, the appearance of the human spirit, and there, we have a dogmatic benchmark for the coup, which says that the human mind does not come from evolution. He is of another nature. It is done, in quotation marks, of spirit and not of matter. And so, it is created directly by God, at the conception of each child. Is philosophy through science? Can we join a little bit? But yes. There are still 2 faculties in us fantastic. Spiritual intelligence, which is not the limited and sensitive animal intelligence, the free will, which can choose a spiritual good like fidelity, and not only the animal sensibility that chooses something for which it feels a feeling. Outside there is no organ of these 2 faculties, no new DNA, since it is said that human DNA is 99% identical to that of great apes. It may not prove things, perhaps it will take more time, but in any case, a Christian, while being open to all science, keeps, in the light of his dogmas, lucidity, intelligence, not to swallow everything, which is hypothesis, and to take, for a certainty, science or philosophy. As Saint Francis de Sales puts it, faith and reason must walk together like 2 affectionate men.